I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration.
I would beat you.
When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red
team.
panties.
The best box in UFC, baby!
Are you ready?
That goes in the files.
Are you ready? Let's get it all!
Yo, welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. And guys, it's nice to be fresh off the plane and everything, you know, from UFC Kansas City. I'm back in Ohio, so it kind of just leads perfectly into what I'm about to talk to you, though. So, you know, besides the fact that I was there and everything and got to watch Max win and I got to watch firsthand how the fight went, you know, it is just kind of wild to sit here and kind of look finally at where Max is. And even more so, you know, it's even crazier to see, like, you know, out of two of my, like, 5 favorite fighters currently in the UFC in probably the last 10 years, it's kind of crazy to see how, you know, Robert Whittaker and Max Holloway's careers are so similar. Like, that's one of my biggest takeaways from this past weekend. And it's been before this weekend, but, you know, it just drives it home even more. And it's like, you know, by me saying that, it's just the fact that it's like we have 2 former champions and former dominant champions who have beat, you know, everybody that's been thrown in front of them. But they just seem, you know, they just can't seem to get past that one guy. And for, you know, Robert Whittaker, it's Israel Adesanya. And for Max Holloway, clearly it's Alexander Volkanovski. So it's like, and it's tough too for both of them because in any other night, you know, they, especially with the Max Volkanovski, the first 2 fights, and the first fight, I guess you could give it to Volk if it's out of the first 2. It's like Volk's closest to that one, but it's still, they were so even. I would love to see a draw or something. But fight 2, like, man, Max's damage and everything, the way he dropped him with the head kick and the way I thought he was putting the power on him, you know, like, I thought he did enough to win. And I shouldn't say did enough, but I thought he won straight up. But, you know, third fight definitely gets his ass handed to him. But on the scorecard and on the history books, he's lost all 3. And even with Robert Whittaker, first fight gets knocked out by Izzy. But second fight, after getting dropped in the first 2 rounds, he comes back and I thought won, you know, especially won round 4 and 5. But I thought he even won round 3. So, like, I thought he won the fight. But I also see how the damage for Izzy could run. But still, it's like any other night, we've seen some wacky shit, especially like I just saw in Kansas City, like we've been seeing in the last 4 or 5 weekends, like, or 4 or 5 cards, I should say, or even before that. Like, it seems like every card's got one crazy decision that we're like, what the fuck are you guys watching? So, you know, it's kind of how it works out. But man, it's like, so you think, okay, they get beat by these guys, you think they're done like the average person. But then it's like, no, they go on to beat everybody, every contender that the champion could possibly fight. These guys are going on to just swiping out the division for them. And it's like, it's so ridiculous because it's like, man, look with Max. This past week with Arnold Allen. You know, if Arnold Allen wins, he's getting the next title shot against Volk just because it's a new blood, it's new everything. It's like, oh, that's somebody we haven't seen. What did Max do to him? Beat the shit out of him. Like, 4th round was definitely close and everything, or 5th round, I should say, you know. Honestly, round 2 and 4 were pretty close, but I gave him to Arnold Allen. Or 4, I gave it to Max. But I'm saying 4 was still even, but I thought Max did enough. And then 5, you know, clearly I thought it was Arnold Allen for a while until that last little, like, 10 seconds. But can that last knockdown win you the round after kind of getting dominated? So it's a tough one, but still, he goes out, he gets the dub. He definitely outnumbers him. Everything beats him. Arnold Allen knows he beats him. You know, he takes him out. And then, you know, what's he do with Yair Rodriguez? Fucking beats him. And guess where Yair is right now? The fucking champion. Or at least he's about to fight for the championship because he's the interim title or the champion. And it's like, okay, you put me in front of him. Takes him out. You know, what's after that? Calvin Kattar. If Calvin Kattar would have beat Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar would have got a title shot. Guess what happened? Got his ass boxed off his face. You know what I'm saying? Frankie Edgar, whatever. We can throw that in there. It was kind of like his last moment. But you best believe if Frankie Edgar beat him, you know, he's getting Volkanovski, but clearly beats him. The whole Brian Ortega, that up-and-comer. Brian Ortega, I know he got to fight Volk later, but it set him back a couple years. But, you know, everybody was saying Brian Ortega's the next guy. Brian Ortega's that next guy. Like they were saying with Calvin Kattar, Arnold, all these guys. Yeah, like, this is the next guy. This is the guy to crack, you know, Max Holloway's guy. Or not his chin or anything with Ortega, but this is the guy that, you know, subs him or whatever. And what's Max do? Puts on a clinic, beats the fucking shit out of him. You know, takes out Aldo twice. Pretty much takes him out of that whole division. So, you know, we saw Volk beat him too, but like Anthony Pettis at the time. But like, seriously. And then even with Robert Whittaker, it's like, okay, you lose twice to Izzy. What's next? Oh, you start beating the shit out of everybody. Vittori beats the shit out of. Cannonier beats the shit out of. Kelvin Gastelum, if you want to count it, I guess, because he's still calling for a #1 contender fight now, which doesn't make sense off of, you know, 2 wins in the last 7 years or something crazy that he's done. You know, Darren Till beat the shit out of him. He's out of the UFC now. You know, Yoel Romero, Jacare Souza, fucking Derek Brunson. He's done everything. He's beat everybody that's ever been a thing. And these guys just can't beat the next guy. So it's tough because it's like nobody else in the division is going to beat them. Any other time period that these guys are in the UFC, they're probably the dominant champion. And it's just like, what do you do with these guys now? It's so tough because like we just saw with Izzy and Pereira. Like Pereira beat Izzy 3 times, so they give him the 4th time because luckily for him, 2 of them were in kickboxing. I already know, so it's not 4 times MMA, but still 4 times in combat sport and combat athlete competitive competition. He gets his ass knocked out twice. You know, I shouldn't say knocked out. This third one wasn't all the way out, but he still got finished. Second one definitely knocked out. First one gets the decision that was, you know, pretty close. And, you know, Izzy had his things, but still, Izzy goes out, beats him in the 4th fight, shows like, hey, we can do this shit. So it's like, that might give Max, hope. Cause it's like, now it's like, okay, Yair beats Volk. Definitely Max jumps in. Cause guess what? Max already beat Yair, and Yair's going to be screaming for that. And I know they're talking about Max versus the Korean Zombie and all that shit. I'm not mad at it whatsoever, just because it's like Korean Zombie seems like that's his retirement fight. I would love to see Max get that fight. It still would be a really good fight. Korean Zombie's that man. And it's just tough, man. It's just tough now because it's like, okay, Volk beat Yair, which is most likely going to happen. I don't want to count Yair out just because Yair is such a crazy and difficult, opposition to go against and somebody to train for and, plan for. It's like you don't see that ever, and you probably can't mimic that in the gym like Max was saying. So, like, okay, say Volk beats him, though. It's like, okay, me personally, I'm the biggest Max fan there possibly is. I'm wearing a Max shirt. The dude was in my intro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Max. I've been watching him forever. He's my age. Literally, I think he's a year and a half older than me. So it's like, I kind of feel like, that's my dude. You know what I'm saying? I love him. It was funny is even when I was watching it live, in Kansas City this past weekend, I even said it out loud. I was like, man, how am I this nervous? It feels like it's my best friend fighting right now, but I've never even met the guy. So it's pretty funny. I'm sure you guys feel the same way, but it's like, it's just tough. We're at these crossroads now, and that's why I did a video last week talking about we gotta appreciate these guys while we got them, because guess what? Like, we're only a couple years away. Like, even though Max still won, there's no denying whatsoever Max still has taken so much damage in his career. Even though he's handed out more damage than anybody, like, guess what? You still, when you're in the pocket trading like that, you're gonna get hit. Even though his phenomenal performances against Ortega and Cater and shit like that, like, guess what? He's still getting hit pretty good. You can still go back and look. He got clocked a couple times by Ortega, a couple times by Cater. The Jose Aldo, dominations got hit. The guy hasn't lost since like 2013 to Conor, at least at 145. And then if you want to count the Dustin Poirier 2019, like, that's the last time anybody has beat him really, and that was 155. He dared to be great, tried to step up. And I honestly doubt he might have won rounds wise, but damage definitely not. But numbers, he was doing it. And like the same with Whittaker. The dude hasn't lost in this division since like Wonder Boy in 2014 or something like that. So like outside of Izzy and outside of Volk for Max, you guys know what I'm saying. But it's like, it's just tough because now it's like, man, both of these guys, they're kind of getting to this point now where they fought everybody. Are you gonna just keep having them fight up and comers? Like, you can't have them in a title shot like that anymore. Like, it's just tough, man. We're in this crossroads right now where these guys are so fucking dominant, but we just got them right that step below. And it's kind of sad to see, especially if you're fans of both these guys. And it's hard not to be a fan of both Max and Robert Whittaker. They're both so fucking nice, both dominant fighters. They prove in time again, like, just because you lose to a champion, like, everybody's counting them out the next fight, and they come out and say, okay, well, guess what? I'm going to beat the fuck out of this guy. And you're never even going to get to see the champion get a chance of this guy because guess what? I took him out. So it's just tough, man. And it's like, Colby wasn't like, there's like Colby too. Like, it's kind of weird how these divisions turn out to be. Like, if Colby was more active currently, like, he would be in this, in this conversation, maybe outside of previous champions clearly. But like, there was a time when Usman was taking out his people, but fucking Colby was taking out everybody too. So it's kind of cool to see it. It's kind of nice to see fighters take out the rest of the division. It just shows how fucking dominant that champion is. But man, it just sucks because now it's like, okay, what, Max got Korean Zombie left, maybe a Yair. Like, he's got multiple fights left. I'm not sitting here saying he's about to retire next year, but it's like, how much more is there for him? How much more is there for Robert Whittaker? I know they're kind of whispering about him fighting at UFC 288 or something, stepping in to fight Dricus du Plessis, but I really like him against Dricus du Plessis. But like, what's next? Because guess what? Yeah, Izzy doesn't want to fight Whittaker again, and I know we could all sit there and be like, oh, Izzy got his 4th chance. Why wouldn't Whittaker? But you guys know how this game works. Like, I don't even know if Whittaker wants to fight. Like, clearly he wants to get that win back, but like, I don't know, man. It's just really tough, and it's been really fucking awesome to be fans of these guys, and it's really cool to see what they're doing. But it really feels a lot like like back in the day when, when there was Michael Jordan in the game. Guess what? I know Magic and Bird got their shit before him, but guess what? When he finally took off and finally dominated the Pistons, like everybody else was, second fiddle. Like Charles Barkley probably would have got multiple rings if Jordan wasn't in there. Reggie Miller with Kobe and all these guys too, and at the end of Jordan's career, like probably could have got something. Patrick Ewing maybe could have got something without Jordan. LeBron, his whole thing, like if Steph and all these guys weren't stacking teams, like LeBron would have plenty more. Same with LeBron and the Heat, like maybe the Lakers have more. There's all these different things, like, but it just so happens to finally come into the MMA world, and it's it's pretty cool to see, but it's also sad. So, I don't know what you guys are thinking. Clearly, we already kind of know what's next for both of these guys, but it's just tough when you're in these awkward positions of like, damn, man, I can beat everybody else but the champion. And honestly, like I just said, there's arguments that they have beat the champion. So it's just how the cookie crumbles, baby. But as always, your boy Steven Moustaris. Let's go, baby.